The research station sat perched high in the Andes Mountains, a lonely beacon of hope in humanity's darkest hour. Outside the reinforced windows, holographic displays flickered with grim battle reports. Another human colony had fallen to the Zarn Imperium. Jay Park stood motionless, her hands pressed against the cold glass. Her reflection showed a woman who had not slept in days. Dark circles under her eyes telling a story of endless research and mounting desperation. Around her, computer screens displayed countless failed strategies, each one another nail in humanity's coffin. The war had been going badly for months. Earth's once mighty fleet was now reduced to scattered ships desperately trying to protect the last remaining human settlements. The Zarn were methodical in their destruction, moving from system to system with technology so advanced it seemed like magic. In the laboratory behind her, machines hummed with a quiet intensity. Genetic sequencers, preservation tanks, and quantum data processors created a symphony of hope and despair. Jay's team had been working on something radical, a solution so unexpected that most military commanders had laughed when first presented with the concept. "We're going to resurrect prehistoric predators," she had told the Defense Council 3 months ago. Their reactions ranged from skepticism to outright mockery. But now, with humanity on the brink of extinction, even the most stubborn military leaders were willing to listen. Hoon Kim, her lead genetic engineer, approached with a data tablet. His hands were shaking slightly, a rare display of emotion from the typically composed scientist. "The first genetic reconstruction is showing promise," he said, his voice steady but with an undercurrent of excitement. Jay nodded, her eyes never leaving the global map showing the rapidly shrinking human-controlled territories. Each red marker represented another fallen colony, another million lives lost to the alien invasion. The Zarn were not just technologically superior, they were methodical, cold, and seemingly impossible to defeat. Their energy weapons could slice through human battleships like a hot knife through butter. Their shield technologies made traditional weapons look like children's toys. Humanity had tried everything: quantum missiles, AI-controlled defense networks, psychological warfare. Nothing worked. This research station was humanity's last hope. Hidden deep in the Andes, protected by multiple layers of quantum camouflage and geological shielding, it represented something more than just a research facility. It was a testament to human survival, to the stubborn refusal to accept defeat. "This mammoth DNA sequence is stabilizing," Hoon said, bringing up a complex genetic diagram on the nearest screen. "We're not just reconstructing, we're enhancing." Jay understood what that meant. They weren't just bringing back prehistoric creatures. They were creating weapons. Living, breathing biological machines designed for one purpose: survival. Outside, another alert flashed. Another colony gone. Another million souls lost to the void. The team worked in shifts, rotating between genetic reconstruction, biological enhancement, and neural interface development. They were creating something the universe had never seen before. Prehistoric predators merged with the most advanced technology humanity could produce. Dire wolves, saber-toothed tigers, cave bears, creatures that had once ruled Earth's prehistoric landscapes would now become humanity's last line of defense. Every scientist in the facility knew the stakes. Every technician understood that their work was more than just research. It was humanity's final strategy. As night fell over the Andes, the research station continued its silent work. Preservation tanks glowed with an eerie blue light. Genetic sequences danced across computer screens, and in the heart of the facility, something ancient and powerful was slowly taking shape. Humanity's oldest predators were about to be reborn. And the galaxy would never be the same. Jay Park looked at the latest transmission from Earth's remaining military command. The message was short, direct, and carried the weight of human extinction. "Find a solution, or we are finished." She turned, back to her team, a quiet determination burning in her eyes. They would not fail. They could not fail. The resurrection was about to begin. The laboratory hummed with an electric intensity. Jay Park stood before massive preservation tanks, each containing a marvel of genetic engineering. Prehistoric DNA, preserved for thousands of years, now danced with cutting-edge technology. Hoon Kim carefully adjusted a complex genetic sequencer. His fingers moved with precision, each touch potentially creating or destroying a potential weapon. The first successful specimen lay dormant in the central tank, a dire wolf unlike anything that had ever existed before. They had found the genetic material in perfectly preserved tissue samples from an Arctic research station. Frozen for millennia, the DNA was a time capsule of prehistoric power. But this was more than simple reconstruction. Each creature was being redesigned, enhanced, transformed into a living weapon. The dire wolf began to take shape. Its genetic structure was no longer just a replica of an ancient predator. Nano-enhanced muscle fibers would provide incredible strength. Quantum-linked neural interfaces would allow for unprecedented communication and tactical coordination. "We're creating more than animals," Hoon muttered, watching the creature's cellular structure stabilize. "We're creating soldiers." Outside the laboratory, the war continued its brutal march. Human colonies continued to fall. The Zarn Imperium showed no mercy, no hesitation. They moved from system to system, erasing human presence with cold efficiency. But inside this hidden Andean facility, something extraordinary was happening. The first dire wolf's eyes began to form, not the eyes of an ancient predator, but something more. Adaptive camouflage capabilities integrated directly into its retinal structure. Enhanced visual processing that could see across multiple spectrum ranges. Jay watched the creature's development, with a mixture of scientific curiosity and desperate hope. Each successful specimen was a middle finger to the alien invaders. Each genetically enhanced predator was a promise of revenge. The mammoth genetic sequence was proving more challenging. Bringing back an entire species was different from creating a targeted biological weapon. But they were making progress. Slowly, carefully, they were rewriting the rules of biological warfare. "Temperature stabilization complete," a computer voice announced. The preservation tank began to glow with a soft blue light. Hoon checked the neural interface protocols. They weren't just creating creatures. They were creating intelligent weapons, creatures that could think, adapt, and coordinate with human military strategies. The first dire wolf twitched. Its muscles began to develop with impossible speed. Where natural evolution would take thousands of years, human technology compressed genetic development into mere hours. "We're ready for the first activation test," Hoon said, his voice calm but filled with an underlying tension. Jay nodded. This was the moment of truth. Would their creation be a weapon of salvation, or just another failed experiment? The preservation tank's liquid began to drain. Mechanical arms moved with surgical precision, supporting the newly formed creature. Its size was impossible, 3 times larger than any prehistoric dire wolf, muscles packed with enhanced genetic potential. A low growl filled the laboratory, but this was no ordinary animal sound. This was a communication, a complex series of neural signals that suggested something far beyond simple animal intelligence. The dire wolf's eyes opened. They were not the eyes of a primitive predator. They were the eyes of a weapon. Outside, another human colony fell to the Zarn Imperium. But here, in this hidden mountain facility, humanity was preparing its response. The genetic resurrection had begun, and the universe was about to learn that humanity's oldest predators were now its most advanced weapons. Hoon looked at Jay. No, words were needed. They both understood what this meant. The first of Earth's ancient warbeasts was alive, and it was ready to fight. The massive spacecraft hung in the darkness of space, its hull a blend of biological armor and advanced technology. Inside, the first squadron of enhanced warbeasts waited, each creature a living weapon more terrifying than any machine humanity had ever created. Captain Sung-Ho Lee studied the tactical display. 30 dire wolves, each the size of a small transport vehicle, waited in their deployment chambers. Their neural interfaces pulsed with a soft blue light, connecting each creature to the ship's advanced combat systems. Zarn scout ships detected at Sector 7 Delta, the ship's AI announced. Its voice was calm, almost disinterested. The first dire wolf moved, not walked, not ran. It flowed from its chamber like liquid muscle and purpose. Its eyes scanned multiple spectrums simultaneously: infrared, ultraviolet, quantum-enhanced visual processing that could detect the slightest movement. Across vast distances, Sung-Ho watched the creature's neural link. This was no ordinary animal. This was a weapon that thought, adapted, and hunted with cold precision. The Zarn scout ships approached, their energy signatures blazing against the black canvas of space. They had destroyed hundreds of human colonies. They believed themselves invincible. They were wrong. The first dire wolf's quantum camouflage activated. One moment it was visible, a massive predator of muscle and enhanced biological technology. The next moment, it was invisible, a ghost moving through the vacuum of space. The Zarn ships never saw it coming. The first attack was surgical. The dire wolf's enhanced jaw, reinforced with molecular-level carbon nanotubes, tore through the alien ship's energy shield like tissue paper. Where traditional weapons would have failed, pure biological fury succeeded. One ship became 2 pieces, then 3. The vacuum of space filled with fragments of alien technology and biological destruction. Target neutralized, the dire wolf's neural interface reported, not in an animal growl, but in a cold, calculated communication that was part biological, part technological. Sung-Ho felt something he hadn't felt in months. Hope. More warbeasts deployed, saber-toothed tigers with plasma-enhanced fangs, massive cave bears wrapped in adaptive battle armor. Each creature was a living testament to humanity's desperate creativity. The Zarn fleet began to realize something was wrong. Their advanced sensors struggled to track these new biological weapons, creatures that could vanish, that could tear, through energy shields, that communicated with a complexity beyond simple animal intelligence. Another Zarn battlecruiser approached, its weapons charged, ready to obliterate what it believed were simple biological organisms. The cave bears had other plans. Using quantum entanglement communication, the warbeasts coordinated their attack. One moment they were scattered, the next, they moved as a single, terrifying organism of destruction. The battlecruiser lasted less than 30 seconds. Deployment successful, the ship's AI reported. But there was something different in its tone, almost respect. Sung-Ho watched the tactical display. Where human ships had been destroyed, these warbeasts were creating chaos. The Zarn fleet, so confident in its technological superiority, was being torn apart by creatures that represented millions of years of evolutionary perfection. More ships approached. The warbeasts prepared. The hunt was just beginning. Humanity's oldest predators had been awakened, and they were hungry. In the cold darkness of space, the first true battle of the genetic resurrection began. Prehistoric fury met alien technology, and for the first time in months, humanity had the advantage. The universe would never be the same. The battle raged across 3 star systems. Zarn command centers watched in growing terror as their most advanced ships were systematically destroyed by creatures that should not exist. Hoon Kim monitored the combat data from the Andean research station. Each warbeast transmission revealed something extraordinary. These were not just animals. They were intelligent hunters with a level of tactical understanding that surpassed most human military strategies. A saber-toothed tiger, enhanced with quantum communication systems, coordinated an attack on a massive Zarn mothership. Its neural interface calculated trajectories, shield frequencies, and potential weaknesses in milliseconds. Where human computers would take minutes to process such complex data, this creature did it instantaneously. The mothership lasted less than 7 minutes. Zarn military leaders could not understand what was happening. Their technology had always been superior. They had destroyed civilizations across multiple galaxies. But these Earth creatures were different. One dire wolf unit penetrated a Zarn defense platform by literally ripping through its quantum shielding. Its enhanced jaw muscles, reinforced with molecular-level carbon nanotubes, turned advanced alien technology into scrap metal. "We are hunting," the creature's neural interface reported, not as a simple communication, but as a statement of pure, calculated purpose. J. Park watched the combat data with a mixture of scientific fascination and growing understanding. They had not just created weapons, they had unleashed something far more complex. The Warbeasts were evolving. With each battle, each encounter, their tactical understanding grew. Neural interfaces began to show signs of collective intelligence. They were learning, adapting, becoming something entirely new. Another Zarn fleet approached, their weapons charged, ready to demonstrate their technological superiority. They would fail. A pack of enhanced cave bears, using quantum entanglement, communication, coordinated an attack that seemed impossible. One moment they were scattered across different attack vectors. The next moment, they moved as a single terrifying organism of destruction. The Zarn fleet commander watched in horror as his most advanced ships were systematically torn apart. "These are not animals," he transmitted to Zarn High Command. "These are weapons beyond our understanding." But understanding came too late. The Warbeasts were not just fighting, they were hunting. Each battle was a complex calculation of predator and prey. They analyzed, they adapted, they destroyed. Human military strategists could barely keep up with the Warbeasts' tactical innovations. The creatures were developing strategies that no computer model could have predicted. A saber-toothed tiger would create a distraction. A dire wolf would exploit the resulting weakness. A cave bear would deliver the final crushing blow. Their coordination was perfect. Their destruction, absolute. Zarn communication networks began to collapse. Their once unbreakable quantum communication systems were being infiltrated and destroyed by biological entities that understood information warfare at a fundamental level. "We are winning," Hoon whispered, watching the combat data. But it was more than winning. It was a complete transformation of warfare. Humanity had not just created weapons, they had unleashed something that would change the understanding of biological and technological warfare forever. The Warbeasts continued their hunt, star by star, system by system. The tide was turning, and the universe would never be the same. Prehistoric fury met alien technology, and fury was winning. The last Zarn ship exploded in silent brilliance against the dark canvas of space. Fragments of alien technology drifted like dead memories, a testament to humanity's impossible victory. J. Park watched the final combat reports stream across her screen. What had started as a desperate genetic experiment had transformed into something far greater. Humanity had not just survived, they had been reborn. The Warbeasts were changing. With each battle, their neural interfaces became more complex. They were no longer simple biological weapons. They were becoming a new form of intelligent life. A dire wolf unit transmitted its final combat report. But it was more than a report. It was a complex communication that suggested something beyond simple animal intelligence. Tactical analysis mixed with what could only be described as philosophical observation. "The hunt is complete," the neural interface reported. But there was something else in its communication, something that suggested understanding, evolution. Hoon Kim analyzed the data with growing excitement. The Warbeasts were developing collective intelligence. Their neural networks were expanding, creating connections that went beyond simple biological programming. On Earth, massive reconstruction efforts began. The Warbeasts would not be put into military storage. They would become something more: explorers, defenders, a new branch of Earth's evolutionary path. The first Warbeast colony was established on a newly terraformed planet. 50 dire wolves, 20 saber-toothed tigers, and 15 cave bears. But they were not just animals. They were the first members of a new species. Human scientists would work alongside them, not as masters, but as partners. Zarn communication intercepts showed complete psychological collapse. An entire civilization that had believed in its technological superiority was now facing an enemy they could not understand. Humanity had done more than win a war. They had proven that biological intelligence could be more adaptive, more powerful, than pure technological advancement. The Warbeasts began exploring the systems they had liberated. Their quantum communication networks allowed them to share information at speeds that defied previous understanding of biological intelligence. A saber-toothed tiger discovered an abandoned Zarn research station. Within hours, it had decoded complex, technological systems that human scientists would have taken years to understand. "We are learning," the creature's neural interface reported. Jay understood what was happening. They had not just created weapons. They had initiated a new form of evolutionary jump. Biological entities enhanced by technology, becoming something entirely new. The first interstellar warbeast colony began its exploration. Dire wolves mapping planetary systems. Saber-toothed tigers analyzing complex technological ruins. Cave bears establishing new defensive perimeters. Earth watched with a mixture of pride and growing understanding. These were not just survivors. They were the beginning of something extraordinary. Hoon calculated that within a few generations, the warbeasts would develop capabilities that would make current human technology look primitive. Communication between humans and warbeasts became more complex. No longer was it about commands. It was about collaboration, partnership, a new form of intelligent cooperation. The universe had changed. Humanity had changed. What had started as a desperate attempt to survive had become a complete transformation of what it meant to be an intelligent species. The warbeasts looked to the stars. No longer just hunters, but explorers, defenders, a new form of life that combined the best of biological evolution and technological advancement. J. Park smiled. They had done more than win a war. They had started a revolution,